So what we're going to do today is use Autodesk Inventor to make this shape, which is why we're starting with the webcam so that you can see what shape we're making. So a lot of ways to look at it, but let's say we'll do it this way. You could look at it as your basic L shape with a block attached to the middle of one side. So I think that's the way we'll look at it. But there's a lot of different ways to make various shapes, and all of them are okay. It's just a matter of how you perceive it. So this is, I'm going to treat it like that. I'm going to treat it like make this L shape first, and then attach this block here. That's the idea. So keep that in mind as we go through. Okay, so first thing you're going to do it when you're on your desktop is you look for this program right here. This is orangish looking color with the eye. That's Autodesk Inventor Professional 2016. Double click on it and give it a second to open up. If it asks you to accept something or whatever, do that, that's fine. If you open it up and it says something about start working or start learning, just go ahead and hit start working. Otherwise, this is what probably shows up. We're going to work right here where it says new part. So the way Inventor works is you're going to create parts, each of our individual block pieces, and then we're going to assemble them into one structure in what's called an assembly, which is probably, yep, right there. But we're going to start with a part. Now, if I already have parts and so forth made, I can go down here and get them, but I'm going to work with a new part. I click that. And my assumption is that periodically you will pause the video and go to your Inventor and work with it and then come back to the video. So let me just point out that if you need to open a file, and you could also go to this eye up here in the top, click that and go to new and click part, and that would also open a new part. I'm going to maximize this little window here, right here. I'm going to maximize that. There we go. Now this is where I'm going to make my part. Over here is called the browser. This is where we're going to go to sometimes to troubleshoot or look at a specific thing that we did. And if you get stuck, you can always undo and start over again. So not a big deal. All right. So every part starts with a sketch, a two-dimensional, just like it was a piece of paper sketch. And then there's a way to make it three-dimensional called extruding, which we'll look at in a second. In our case, to make that L shape, it was a 3 blocks tall by 3 blocks wide. So I'm going to start a 2D sketch, a 2D sketch. Do not start a 3D sketch. You're starting a 2-dimensional sketch. So quite frankly, all you really need to do, since it says 2D here, is just click this little picture right up here in the upper left. When you do that, this thing will show up. And it doesn't matter which of these planes we work in, the YZ or the XZ or the XY. I'll grab the YZ, we'll say. Click any of them and you'll get this. You might want to pause and go do that. Alright, now we're going to make a rectangle that is 3 blocks by 3 blocks, but we're not going to use blocks, we're going to measure it in inches. And in our case, each block is 0.75 inches. So do the math with me. 0.75 plus 0.75. 75 cents and 75 cents, that's 1.5. And we have one more, plus another 75 cents is $2.25. So 2.25. So we're going to go up here to rectangle. And there's lots of ways to make a rectangle, and even things, slots, polygons, so forth. But we're just going to choose the first one, 2-point rectangle. Notice as I hover around the center here, it gets close and it turns green. The little dot turns green. That means it's going to start me there, and that's what I want. I click once, don't hold it down, just click it once. And then I move my mouse, and don't click anything yet. Wait, and now I can dimension this. You'll see on the screen where it has the 0.392 in this case, all covered in blue. All I have to do, I don't hit backspace or anything. If I just start typing the dimension, I'll be all right. So I want this to be 2.25, and then I hit tab, because that'll take me to the other dimension. And I do this, in this case, I want a square, so I want 2.25, and I hit enter. Now, when you go to do this, you're going to end up with something like you see here on mine probably, and the issue here is that we're zoomed in too far. So the rolly thing on your mouse, the scrolling tool, if you roll it towards you, it becomes bigger, and if you roll it away from you, you zoom out. Also, important to note, is if you hold down that rolly thing, if you push it down, click it in other words, and hold it down, you can then move this around. So you should probably try to do all that. Make the square and then see if you can move it around. When we've made our square, we're going to finish our sketch. Notice all the lines here are purple or blue, whatever color that is. If they're green, there's a problem. That means you haven't dimensioned everything, and so you haven't told it specifically how big you want things to be. So you're going to want to fix that and get them dimensioned. And we'll talk about how to do that in a moment. So I finish the sketch, boom, and I position it so I can see it. There we go. And now I'm going to make this flat square, I'm going to make it have a thickness by extruding it. I do that by going to the center of the square and right-clicking, and I'll see all this stuff. I want to extrude right here, E-X-T-R-U-D-E. Click that. All right, it'll make it a certain thickness. In this case, the default is 1 inch. I don't want 1 inch. All my measurements are going to be 0.75, 1.5, or 2.25. And in this case, 0.75 is the thickness I want. And I hit check or hit the enter button, and there, I've made that square. Now to make my L shape, I want to cut out a piece of this so that I have just the L remaining. So what I'm going to do, when you want to work with, cut out something or add something onto it, you're going to find the surface that you want to work with and right-click it. But before I do that, let's do this. I want to point something out. Go to this, when you go to this little square, this cube up here, notice by clicking different parts of it, I can get different views of my shape. All right? And so forth. And if I ever want to get back to where I started, I can just click the home button. It'll take it back to where it was. As we saw earlier, if I push down the scrolly thing, I can move this around. But I can do something else too. If I hold the Shift key down on the keyboard, so hold Shift down, and then I go to the object and I push down on the scrolly thing, now, hold on, I can free rotate it. I can turn it around and look at it like that, which is kind of helpful sometimes. And then if I'm done looking at it and I want to go back to where I was, I just hit home and it'll take it back there. Now, back to what I was going to do earlier, we're going to cut a section out. So I'm going to go to this surface here, not this one. I'm going to go to this one, although I could probably do it in other places, but I'm going to go to this surface. I'm going to right click on it. I have lots of options. One of them is New Sketch. So I'm going to draw a new sketch on this surface. Oops. There we go. And what I want to do is cut out a piece right here so that I only have the L shape. And that's going to require, I go to Rectangle, and I move over to here, and I highlight the green. See where it turns green? Click there once, go out. Now how big does my square here need to be? Well, it's going to be 1.5, 2 blocks wide, tab, and then another 1.5, and hit enter. And I have this square, which when I cut it out in a moment is going to give me this L shape that we see right here. I like that. It's all blue and so forth. So I finish the sketch. And then I highlight, I move my cursor so that it's right over that square that I just made, right in the middle of it somewhere, and I right click and I extrude. But I don't want it to add on, I want it to go the other direction. See the direction this arrow is pointing? Well, the other direction you can get by clicking here. And I can go to direction 2 instead. Notice it takes it the other way, and it also took it 0.75 because that's the last one, the measurement I used. And so that's good. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I hit check, and I have the L shape. All right. But I need to add a block to, I'm going to add it to right in the middle of this bottom piece here. All right, the way I'm looking at it, yeah, I want to add it right in here somewhere. So I'm going to put a sketch on this L shape. So I'm going to right click on the L shape somewhere, do new sketch. I'm going to make a square in this case. Going to click the rectangle thing up here. Going to come over to this point until it turns green. Click. All right, then I'm going to dimension it. It's 0.75. Tab. Let me do this. Let's say you don't do the tab thing. Let's say I accidentally hit. I end it. Oops, I didn't dimension it. Here's the deal. I dimensioned this earlier, but now, if you forget to, you can always go back to here before you finish the sketch. Click dimension. Click on the side you want to dimension and move it out. I don't want it to be 8.26, so I click on it and I make it 0.75. So there's another way to dimension things. There's always more than one way to do things here. Hit check. There it is. Now it's locked into place. Notice that before I did that, it was one side was green because it didn't know how long it needed to be. But now it's everything's that bluish color, so we're good. I finish the sketch. I right click on that little square that I made and I extrude, and it's going 0.75. That's what I want, so we're good. Check, and we're done. And I have made my first piece. Now in my puzzle piece, that piece happens to be black. So I can go up to default up here at the top, click that, wait a second, there it is, and I can scroll down. I got glossy black. I'll probably just find a basic old black. I think one of the better places to go is where it says smooth. Here we go, smooth black. That'll work. Bam. All right. Now I'm going to, last thing you're going to do is save your piece. So go to the big I in the corner. Go to Save As, right here. Click that. Now, on yours, you'll have to find your drive, but you click on this little arrow thing right here, and you find yours probably will say something like removable disk, whatever. Mine says USB drive, but whatever. Find the drive involved, click it. I'm already there. You can see I have a bunch of parts from other folks as well here. Then click down here where it says file name and put your name on it. So we're going to go Wellborn example part 1. And your period number maybe, but as long as your name and which part number it is, you're good. Now in my case, I actually want to save it somewhere else. So I'm going to put it into a different folder. So give me 1 second while I do that. Now when you're done that, and you go to make your next part, don't alter this one to make your next part. Just start over. It's going to be much less complicated down the line. So to do that, wait for it to finish saving. There we go. I close this, and I hit New Part, or I go to the I, and I hit New and Part. There, either way. and I'm going to do it all over again for my other pieces. So I have 4 more to make. And I make them the appropriate color and save them appropriately on the flash drive. Make sure that you write down which flash drive you're using. If you get stuck, there are folks around here that have a little more experience, myself included. We'll try to get you unstuck. All right, good luck.